If you have a body composition / weight goal in the new year, then we have the podcast for you. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Movement is Medicine show. I got Dr. Annie and Chryssie in the house today. Ladies, welcome.
Hi.
And today we're going to talk about something near and dear to our heart, which is body composition changes, right? Looking your best, feeling your best. But we're coming at it with a very different angle because, drum roll, many people go about this the wrong way.
Yeah, especially women my age.
And my age.
And your age.
Yeah, absolutely. Women in general.
In case you're getting the gist of where we're going here, we really want to shift the dialogue from losing weight to changing your body composition and ideally increasing muscle mass. We decrease body fat. So we're going to get into the nuance of that because frankly, that is the magic bullet and it doesn't happen by accident.
No. Agreed. I've been mulling in this in my head. We hear so much about passive income, right? Everyone wants to create passive income. But with muscle, there's nothing passive about it. You've got to be intentional. It's something that you have to actively pursue. And then eventually, yes, it does become a little more second nature in the way you go about maintaining it and building it. But there is nothing. And I think that a lot of us were like, I want to get strong. I want to build more muscle. We're waiting for it to happen?
Yeah.
That's not exactly how it happens. And it's a hard reality, but it is the truth.
Yeah. You definitely have to work really hard for it. And it becomes a habit, though, as you said.
Yes.
Eventually it becomes a habit. And then it just becomes a fun and invigorating and must-do part of your day, right? It just levels everything out. It makes you feel fabulous.
Yeah. And I think the way that you could first go about it or think about it is everyone is on the opposite end. They want to, first off, it's going to be the new year. They want to lose weight. We're on the opposite end of that spectrum. We don't necessarily want to lose weight. We want to gain muscle. And how are we going to go about that? First off, we're going to lead with protein. And we're going to focus on getting as much protein as we can to maintain it, which is the opposite of what we normally think to do. I don't want us to deprive ourselves. We want to nourish and build.
Yeah, it is a big psychological shift. And I think as we get into these specific strategies, starting with the protein, which I think to your point is the core foundational piece that we need to look at, protein and resistance training are the two biggest levers we want to pull when it comes to creating strength and creating muscle. But in order to do that, psychologically, you have to be emotionally ready to shift. And if you're really looking at what do you want to be healthy, you want to have energy, you want to feel confident in your own skin. You want to look good in your clothes. You want to look good when you look in the mirror. You want to feel like your body is capable of things, right? And all of that is a function of building the strength for your body to move itself and building muscle that looks beautiful, right? That looks really good and creates shape and it makes our bodies appealing. So if we psychologically can get out of the idea that we need to lose weight and that the scale determines our worth, then we're prepared to do the work. But we have to free ourselves from that chain first.
100%. And I think, too, it's not looking at the scale as a measure of worth, like you said, but just using it more as a measuring tool. Okay, this is where I'm at. Reflect on the week. What did you do? What did you not do? And what can you change the following week to see the improvement that you're looking for? And the scale doesn't show us the whole picture. We're made up of more than fat. We're made up of more than muscle. We've got water. We've got bone. We've got mineral. So the scale isn't always a great representation of the change that's going on. So I encourage everyone to not use it as your only measuring tool.
This is a difficult one for all of us, including me, because last week I had a weight gain, which threw me off. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've gained 2-3 pounds. Because really, it's like when you're at my fine age, you don't want to be gaining unnecessary weight because it's very difficult to chip away at losing it. You want to be gaining muscle, changing your body composition. But I do watch the scale for inflammation is really what I'm looking for. Because if I have a marked spike, I think I'm inflamed, something is going on, something's changing. And then we discovered that I had gained muscle, which I'm incredibly proud of.
Congratulations.
But that's where I love the InBody and the science of that because it tells you a different story.
Yes. And then your mindset was totally changed. You came in down on yourself. What did I do? I feel like I'm doing all the right things. And then you got on the InBody and you're like, oh, confirmed. I am actually doing all the right
Exactly.
things. Yeah, it's good.
This topic today ties in so well too with our last topic about blood sugar, because we're looking at feeding our bodies for muscle growth and for muscle gain. And we're not concerning ourselves as much with the fat component of it. But this also will help with our blood sugar component, which we discussed last time, which is really fueling with fat and protein prior to a carbohydrate uptake.
It is. It's all tied together. And there's so many benefits to taking a strength and a muscle building oriented approach. If we start with recognizing that for many of us, we have been programmed over time to associate changes on the scale, especially if the scale goes up, to feeling like, oh no, we're messing up or bad or whatever. And then if we can disassociate the scale for a minute with progress and instead focus on a process that will produce different results over time, results that are better than the results we've had in the past, that's where some magic can start to occur. So if we're all on board, okay, we're gonna decouple for a minute our connection to the scale. We're just going to say it's a data point. It's not the data point. I'm not going to have an emotional reaction to it. It might be something I use to measure progress, but if there's other tools like InBody and other stuff that's better, I'm open. I want to hear more. What should I be focused on in 2025? Instead of losing weight, we're saying, okay, great. It's time for you to make the shift to gaining muscle. And the place to start is looking at your diet. And so Chryssie, you queued us up, protein. So let's talk about how a person should structure their protein. What should they be looking at from a daily consumption? And let's get into some of the strategies of how to make that happen.
Yeah. So with the protein, there's this range to consume 0.8 to 1.2 grams per pound of your ideal body weight. So for example, if one's ideal body weight is 140 pounds, their goal should be to consume 140 grams of protein, or as close to as they can. When you say that, you say 140, it's a big number. You're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do that? Break it into more manageable chunks. So say you consume 3 meals a day, do 140 divided by 3. If that's still a little too much, you're like, how the heck am I going to get that amount of grams at breakfast? Bring it down a little bit, shoot for 30, 40 grams at breakfast, and then make up the excess grams of protein that you need with a protein shake, with a protein bar, with a snack that's protein heavy. And I think that if you break it into manageable chunks, you'll realize it's not that hard. But like I mentioned earlier, it's something that you have to plan. It's not going to happen. If you're like, I need to consume 140 grams, let's just see how it goes. The likelihood is that you're not. You're probably going to consume 90 grams. So you've got to be intentional with it.
If we just look at accidental eating, which is really what most people, I would say, are inadvertently doing.
Yeah.
And so it's accidental eating. In that way, for a person who's just going through the day, their protein most likely, especially if they're a woman, is going to be sub 100 grams.
Agreed.
Maybe even sub 70 grams of protein. So it's a fraction of the protein that we need to optimize and even get to what I would consider to be a foundational level of protein to support a healthy body, especially then as we're going after this body recomposition goal. It's 2025. We're going to create the best version of ourselves. We know that the more muscle we have, the more health we have, everything's going to be better. And we're going to focus on that positive momentum versus the negative momentum. And to do that, you have to get the protein up. So if you're saying, hey, I currently weigh, I'm just going to use a number that's easy, 200 pounds, and I want to weigh 140 pounds.
Yeah.
The other way you can go about it is, okay, great. Let's shoot with your ideal weight and we'll work off of that. And the idea there being, I think, is especially if you can eat the same foods every day or similar foods and have some structure, meaning like you have option A and option B for breakfast.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example. My option A is 1 egg with 150 grams of egg white and 6 slices of Canadian bacon from Costco. That is 50 grams of protein. I put that into a carb, this cool little cut the carb wrap, and I turn it into a yummy breakfast sandwich kind of thing. It's delicious.
Yeah.
Never get sick of it. Literally eat it almost every day. 50 grams of protein. My goal is 180 grams of protein. So I'm going to have 3 meals where I have 50 grams of protein, and then I'm going to have 1 snack that will be a protein shake or it will be a Ninja Creamy, which
Knew
you
it.
guys know I'm
Not
obsessed with.
creamy.
Yeah, so don't get me started
Not
because I will go
surprised.
to crazy town on creamy.
Okay,
But
there's
so
going to be
that's
a
it.
creamy in the show notes.
There's going to be a creamy
recipe
link.
in the
I'm
show
gonna
notes.
put my affiliate link
Okay,
in there
come
if you
on,
want my
Gary.
recipe.
Yeah. Go.
Awesome.
But that's the deal. Okay, so I literally obsessed. I was obsessing about this, and I was like, no, simple math. Just
Yep.
3. You take your big number, break it into 3s, and then add a snack in.
Yep.
And that's an easy way to get to your protein. And then you figure out what food meal that I like to eat will get me that thing.
Yep.
My option B for breakfast is 200 grams of Greek yogurt from Costco, plus a scoop of eggnog protein powder from
Whoa.
Simple Clean Protein Delicious, 100 grams of raspberry, and 30 grams of Kind granola. Am I a freak because I have this all memorized? No, I'm intentional.
We support you.
I think we should talk about me because I'm more representative of most women. You two are already perfect.
No. So humble.
I struggle to get 100 grams of protein a day, and I feel like I'm eating all day long. And I think I am more like most people in that I'm not that intentional. I'm not that you're not busy, but you guys are not. You're not disorganized, and you both macro focused, and you've done macro coaching.
And we might have control
And
of
you-
our day a little bit more.
Yes.
Maybe you've control of your day more, perhaps.
Because I
Yeah.
think about in a clinical setting.
Yeah.
Where you're moving from patient to patient to patient. You have a very narrow eating window.
Mm-hmm.
You have a narrow window in the morning. You know what I mean? There's like, it takes more to get that structure for you. I would argue.
Actually, on my patient days, I eat really well. It's
Those
my
are-
non-patient.
because
it's my
of maybe
non-patient
they're
days.
more structured or something.
Yeah. These days are not that structured. So today I'm bouncing all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And so I will be really lucky to get, let's see, what have I
100
got so
grams.
far? I've got 30 grams so far of protein in.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try to get lunch in. So that'll get me up to 50. And that's where I start struggling. I always struggle at 50.
And my recommendation to Dr. Annie is always to increase those serving sizes because sometimes it can be a chore to hit your protein target, especially if you're doing it over the course of 5 to 7 meals, right? You're thinking about it all day long. But if you can do 3 meals, 1 snack,
But
so
I don't eat
easy.
that much at a time. I have a tiny
Bird
tummy.
belly. She got the
Let me
tiny
tell you,
little
listener,
bird.
I'm done. I'm
Dr.
full.
Annie has all the excuses for us.
I am a perfect example of someone who has challenges with this because I eat my face off when I get to 110.
Yes,
and I
that's how
come and
you
report
feel.
to Chryssie. I'm so excited. But little tips for people like me.
Here
I
we
think
go.
there's got to be a few cheats for people like me. They may not be absolutely perfect, but like a Fairlife.
Yeah.
Fairlife chocolate milk, 30 grams of protein.
Yep.
I try not to do it all the time. Also bars, my favorite being the Good to Go bar. Those are clean and yummy, and they're 18 grams.
Yep.
And then you're going to have to do a good protein powder as
Yep.
well. So a good whey protein. And there's a few brands we're experimenting with. I don't know what my absolute favorite is at
Yeah.
this stage. I have to have those cheats to get anywhere near where I need to be.
Yeah, your 3 cheats with
Yeah.
quotation marks, and then your 3 meals, and you're there. You're golden.
Yeah, I'm getting really close. And then I just do meat salad.
Yeah.
Right? Meat salad, lunch, meat salad, dinner.
Yep.
And I try to slip some carbs in too today was easy because I had a gluten-free Christmas.
Don't be embarrassed.
But usually it's a sweet potato.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Just as a side note, is understanding what comes first. What are you really going after? What's the primary driving goal? Because if your primary driving goal is, I'm going to eat 100% natural foods in their most raw, organic, New Zealand free-range state, then
Yes.
that drives you in a certain direction, right? And so you deprioritize things because you're prioritizing the purity of your food and the righteousness of your diet, which is awesome if that's what your goal is. But if your goal is body composition changes, looking, feeling your best, and increasing your overall health, what I would make the argument is let's start at this foundation that we're making a case for, which is build your muscle first. Let's lose some body fat. That's going to improve literally every health marker that you have and increase your longevity by a significant factor. So basically, you're going to live longer, you're going to get less sick, you're going to feel better. Everything's going to be better in life.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my promise to you.
But my primary goal is actually energy.
And energy's going to go
Yeah.
up. But so
Yeah.
to get there, sometimes you have to then say, okay, I'm going to make some food. I'm going to prioritize that.
Yep.
So that means I'm going to bring in some food choices that are lower quality, but still within the range of acceptable in order for me to hit this bigger goal that I'm going after at this point in my life. And that's where I think you should look at protein supplements, protein bars, whey, et cetera, as acceptable food choices.
Agreed.
You're not living off of them, but you are now supplementing
Right.
your base, which is good, with these additional elements that are convenient, because it is a factor. Convenience is a real factor.
Yes.
It really is, yeah. And I think, too, if you're not dairy intolerant, the cottage cheese, the Greek yogurt,
Yeah.
I do use that as well.
Yeah.
And that's a good boost. That's your 20
Super
grams, usually right there, what, in a half a cup or 3/4 cup or so. So
Easy.
that's a good one, too. But it's a challenge for me. But I do, when I do keep my protein higher, my energy in the afternoon does not fail. And I stay good all day. I'm not as worried about body composition. I'm just worried about energy and health. And I am super clean, one of those picky eaters like you mentioned before.
Which is good.
I don't like to eat sandwich meats. I don't like to eat salamis. I don't like to eat too much dairy. I don't like to eat processed stuff. I'm clean, man. So clean.
Too clean. You need to get dirty.
Dang.
So what I would suggest too is mapping out each, like I just mentioned, option A, option B, mapping those out. And if you have a week where you have structurally different days, open-ended days, aka maybe like a weekend style day, or a day where you're non-clinic based, or you're working from home, whatever it is, look at your week and say, what patterns do I have in my week? I have almost never talked to anybody or worked with anybody who has more than 3 patterns in their week. They might have 3. I travel these days. I'm in this situation on these days. And these days I'm at home kicking it with the family. Okay, those are 3 different scenarios you have to solve for. Most of us, though, just have 1 or 2.
Yeah.
At work, at home, working week, weekends. But map it out. Here's my breakfast, option A, option B, in my work week, in clinic days. Here's my lunch, option A, option B. Here's my dinner. Here's my snack. Literally write it down on a piece of paper. Everything.
Yep.
And then write it down for your other scenario.
Yep.
The non-structured day. And then you just know, because the minute you have to think about, what am I going to eat today to hit my protein? You've lost.
Game over.
Game over, baby.
Yeah.
You have lost. You're not going to get it.
Yep. And create that schedule. Commit to a time. 7 a.m. I'm going to have my breakfast. Noon, I'm going to have my lunch. Before 6:30, I'm going to have my dinner. Shut it down. You got to commit to it. If we don't commit to it, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the other thing we should shift from the protein topic.
Yeah, okay. We could work, but that's good. We went deep.
And I'm getting it. And it's great. You have to be accountable. You have to plan it out. You have to map it out. I'm hungry right now just thinking about it. Where's my protein? Where's my egg bacon sandwich?
Yeah, Barry.
Yeah, I should have
Next
had it.
time, you
Yes,
should have brought me 50 grams. But I think the other challenge coming into the holidays is staying consistent with our resistance training. And so we want to build muscle. We want to not lose that body composition that we're working on. So let's talk about tips for keeping that going through the holidays as well.
Yeah, I have a bunch. Chryssie, kick us off, though. What's your kind of resistance training? What would be your foundational advice during this season?
Well, first off, schedule it, commit to it. Hire a coach. If you can't hold yourself accountable, hire a coach, go to a class, make sure that you get at minimum 2 days a week. Ideally, we want to see people moving every day, right? Some sort of movement, but strength training 2, 3, 4 days a week, that's awesome. And then those other days, get some active movement in. Go play pickleball, go walk some hills, put a weighted vest on. Just get that body moving for at least 60 minutes a day. But I think that, once again, if you don't schedule it, you're not going to do it. So plan it in advance and then hold yourself accountable to it. Because if you don't do it, you're letting yourself down. And that's not cool.
And I think it's important, too, if you're traveling, to plan for that as well, especially if you're doing a road trip, because guess what? You can bring dumbbells in your car.
Yes.
Which is what I'm going to do for my Christmas holiday, is I'm going to build out some workout sets, and I'll encourage my family to join me. And I travel with dumbbells. Maybe that's geeky, but hey, it keeps me accountable.
And it makes you feel good. It helps you
feel great.
enjoy your trip more. Otherwise, you're living with this guilt of, ugh, I'm lazy. I'm not doing anything. If you just get that
I just
little
get
dose.
grouchy too.
Yeah.
So I get that outside time in, get some pump, get a walk, run, whatever it is.
Yep.
Get a few minutes of weights in.
Yep.
The number of times I have brought a kettlebell set with me on a trip and used it is like 0 out of 10. But I appreciate.
Never brought or brought?
I have brought
I've never
kettlebells so
used.
many
Okay.
times and never used them. I'm like literally bringing these kettlebells, camping and shit, bringing them in the cars. Like, here's my kettlebells. That's like totally don't use them. But I do love that idea. But when I think about resistance training during this time or anything, I think scheduling is great. I would say there's 3 pieces of advice I would offer on this. One, if you're a lady, work with Chryssie.
Yes.
That's basically, because especially if you have not had a background in resistance training, there's going to be a lot of, I'm not so confident, I don't know what I'm doing, is this the right way, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And it just work with somebody who knows. And obviously, Chryssie, your expertise in this area is phenomenal. So I would recommend that. Get a coach. And if guys out there get a coach, personal trainers, I don't have another personal trainer that I would recommend besides Chryssie. Like at your big box gym, you're just rolling the dice. It's probably going to suck. Hey, it's better than nothing. I did use an online service. There are some really good online coaches. So a lot of times if you have an influencer who's really good or somebody who you trust or you follow online, there can be some good people online. Look for somebody who you can send your form reviews. Second option is a ladder app, LADDER ladder app. It's the greatest workout app I have ever experienced. It's phenomenal. It's like Peloton for strength.
Cool.
Really, really good. $15 a month if you sign up for the year, 30 monthly. It's a great supplement though. You need a gym to work out in or a home gym. Really great option. Third, you could join some kind of a strength oriented group fitness class.
Yeah. Like
a CrossFit-y type functional fitness place. And I would recommend something like that over like an Orange Theory or something with weights light.
Yes.
You're really not going to get much benefit from a resistance training in an Orange Theory.
Agreed.
So those would be my options there for resistance training. But definitely find something and pick it based on your level of experience and your confidence. So if your experience and confidence are low, work with Chryssie.
Yeah.
If your experience and confidence are medium, maybe use an app or just get a gym membership and just start going. But I would have a plan, just like we talked about with food. If you show up at the gym, and you don't know what you're doing, you don't have a plan, there's going to be like at this time of the year, I hate it when you go to a gym because there's going to be a bunch of bros and a bunch of teenagers because school's out. It drives me insane. Like there's going to be teens everywhere, sweaty, stinking, like being loud. So you need a plan, headphones, go in and be focused.
Yes.
And that would be my advice to you.
I love that. I agree. 100%.
But start regardless, find a starting solution and get the resistance training in place. And I think 3 days a week is a great place to start. Ideally, you're working 4 or 5 times a week on resistance training for 30 minutes to 60 minutes. Let's talk cardio, because the other side, I think, of cardio is many people are like, wait a minute. Where's my cardio at? What should I be doing? Because I know if I want to lose fat, I know I need to be doing cardio. So how does that tie into body recomposition and gaining muscle?
I would argue that if you're doing cardio, you're actually not losing fat. Sure, you're getting sweaty, maybe you're burning some calories. I look at cardio as more of like a mental well-being state. Like it's a great place for you to think and it's a good outlet, but there is not going to be much strength being had, no muscle being gained. And that muscle gain is what's going to help us burn more calories. It's what's going to help us have better hair, skin, nails, energy, all the things. The muscle is where it's at. Cardio can be implemented into your strength training routine, and it's good to get your 8,000 to 12,000 steps in a day and get your heart rate accelerated a little bit. But the priority first should be the strength. Once you've got your strength, then get that cardio mixed in, but prioritize strength first.
I love it. It's like if you think about the protein conversation we have, if you put protein first every meal and then infill with fat and carbs, same thing with exercise. Let's put the strength in as your primary and let's infill with some cardio that you enjoy. If you're really like looking to go after a body recomposition focus, I would say any opportunity you have to do fasted, low impact, steady state cardio in the morning prior to eating would be a great way that you can accelerate that metabolic furnace and tap into maybe some body fat stores, and then get your strength training in later in the afternoon or later in the day.
Totally.
Love it.
Yeah, good. Okay, so we covered the foundations so far, just to do a quick recap, which is the psychological, emotional buy-in and connection to the bigger, more important goal, which isn't weight. It's body recomposition, it's gaining strength, which increases our health. We talked about foundationally then, protein being key piece of our dietary lever that we're going to pull to make this amazing transformation happen. And then we talked about the second big lever being protein consumption. Protein consumption rather. The first level. Second is our exercise. And in both, we need a plan. We need to be focused. We need to be intentional. And that there's a lot of resources out there to help you get there. And that let the other stuff fall in as it does. And if you can get those two things in place, you're going to be in an awesome, awesome position to make 2025 an incredible year for you.
Absolutely.
Yes, you've got the knowledge. Now it's time for you to take the action.
Perfect. We'll put some of these resources and some of this outline In the show notes, we'll link some of the stuff that Chryssy's working on, Build with Chryssie, if you're interested there. I'll put a link to that ladder app that I was talking about. And if there's any other resources that are cool or groovy that we think will help you, we'll try to put them in those show notes. And if you need help, by all means, reach out. We're here from you. We want to hear from you. And we're here to support you on your journey. Thank you guys for being here, and we will catch you on the next episode.
Bye.